This is the Rear Tail Peninsula, where Testudinidae aqua perform their primal reproductive ritual. Survival relies on thermal camouflage within the sand layer. Squirtle emerges. The juvenile shell is the basic adaptation for aquatic life. They require heat to activate their intrinsic hydrodynamic mechanism. Primal attack reflex tests the latent hydraulic projection system. Collaborative behavior generates threshold pressure, a defense strategy. Confidence leads them to venture into deeper territory. The dark zone is the domain of apex hyperpredators. That is Gyarados, a beast evolved from Fury, representing the ocean's aggressive nature. Pure physical impact shatters the huddle strategy. Multiple casualties. They rely entirely on passive shell defense. Gyarados advances. This is the critical moment for survival. Emotional shock and will trigger emergency transmutation, evolution. Accumulated energy undergoes biological restructuring. Wartortle emerges. The feathered tail is the new hydraulic stabilizer. Wartortle confronts the predator with resilient defensive strength. It deploys Shell Smash, turning its body into a hydrodynamic projectile. The tensile strength of the Wartortle shell is proven. It wins through strategic persistence, not brute force. Gyarados retreats. The energy cost of confrontation is too high. Brood survival is ensured. Biological responsibility is transferred. This protective behavior confirms the new role as guardian. It needs to recharge via extreme solar absorption. The harsh survival cycle. Sacrifice ensures species inheritance.
In Cherisific Valley, Charizard pride transcends all boundaries. Two young Charizard leave the pack to seek the ultimate challenge, the Grey Crags, a forbidden zone where ancient rulers hide. Hydreigon emerges, ready to eliminate the intruding Charizard. Garchomp rises from the abyss to complete the encirclement. When the brink of death nears, the Charizard Y bond explodes. Mega Charizard Y, the wind deity commanding the sky and light. The drought ability activates, incinerating Hydreigon's darkness. Solar power is concentrated by Mega Charizard Y into a single strike. On the ground, a violent Charizardite X transformation occurs. Mega Charizard X, a true black dragon bearing lethal blue flames. Mega Charizard X bears dragon-type power and ultimate physical claws. Tough claws amplify damage from Mega Charizard X in close quarters. Garchomp and Hydreigon are forced to yield to the Mega power. The battle ends, leaving a new definition of evolution. both Charizard return not just as warriors, but as legends. Charizard's journey to becoming a true dragon has only just begun. Mega Charizard Y's Heatwave purges the Forbidden Zone. Garchomp struggles to end the battle on the ground. Hydreigon strikes multi-directionally to seal Mega Charizard Y. Mega Charizard Y's flight speed defies biological limits. Hydreigon does not yield its sky so easily. Mega Charizard Y borrows solar energy to reinforce itself. Mega Charizard X launches flare blitz with extreme heat. Hydreigon's dominance over the Grey Crags is shattered. Fatigue cannot hide the pride of the two Charizard. Every scar is a certificate of Charizard's ascension. Both Charizard return, bearing the prestige of conquerors. Recognition from the elder Charizard is the best reward. A new era for Charisific Valley begins. In the heart of Kanto, an endless cycle of energy consumption begins. A small organism with a metabolic demand 10 times its body size. Thick fur isn't just for warmth, it's a mobile biological reservoir. It eats to survive and prepares for a massive transformation. In nature, vulnerability always attracts the most ruthless predators. The protective instinct is the spark that triggers latent evolution. This bond generates a powerful frequency of biological energy. Cellular structures expand rapidly. A new giant is born. Snorlax, the embodiment of stillness and the immense weight of nature. Now, its heartbeat synchronizes with the pulse of the land. It is no longer an individual. It has become an ecosystem. Its gastric juices dissolve any toxin, turning waste into pure energy. But peace is always fragile before the wrath of nature. The aggressive wildfire is devouring everything in its path. Deep sleep becomes a deadly barrier in this desperate situation. A specific sound is the only key to waking the mountain. When the giant awakens, the very ground beneath it trembles. The massive frame becomes the world's most solid fortress. The thick fat ability turns its skin into a shield against hellfire. It doesn't fight fire with water, but with pressure and weight. Every roll is a sacrifice to protect what remains of the green. Heroes need no words. They only need to stand against the storm. Nature finally soothes the pain of its silent protectors. Mission complete. Energy must now be restored through deep slumber. Laziness is in fact a long accumulation for decisive moments. A new generation continues, carrying the instinct of kindness. Peace always has a price, and Snorlax is the one who pays. Even the laziest of gods carry a noble mission. In the unforgiving depths of the ocean, beauty is often a luxury, but survival is a relentless chore. Meet Phoebus, widely regarded as the most unsightly creature in the marine world, a species forgotten by evolution. Driven by an invisible longing for connection, this solitary being begins its journey toward the brilliant light. But in the kingdom of the elite, there is no place for one with such a wretched and weak appearance. Rejection turns it into a target for the cruel games of predators who see its presence as a blemish. A pod of Palafin hunts not for hunger, but uses the suffering of the weak to display their own dominance. Behind those dull eyes lies a resilient soul, enduring the humiliation of the self-righteous. To them, Phoebus is nothing more than a lifeless toy, a pathetic entity with a bitter taste that saves it from being eaten. However, fate always knows how to test the compassion within creatures turned away by the world. A Milotic, the pinnacle of aquatic grace, is ensnared. Her light is fading against the suffocating grip of human debris. Opportunistic scavengers approach, their mindless curiosity only deepening the legendary creature's agony. For the first time, one who only knew how to flee chooses to fight back to protect a life more precious than its own. Pain has been its long-time companion, and Phoebus has learned to stand when the world wants it to fall. With all its accumulated heat, it scorches the artificial barrier, determined to break the chains binding freedom. In a final burst, the strength of its despair shakes the very boundaries of life and death. The price of salvation is total exhaustion. The unsightly fish sinks into darkness after completing a noble mission. In response to the purest heart, the Ocean Guardian bestows the scale carrying the power of light and time. A divine biological reaction is triggered, shattering the crude shell to release the beauty that was always destined. Ordinary scales shed, giving way to shimmering silk veils, symbols of nobility and ultimate power. Those who once mocked it can now only bow before the presence of a newly reborn legend. True beauty was never absent. It was merely waiting for a heart brave enough to reveal it. In the deep blue, the most humble beginning has led to the most magnificent end.
Deep beneath the earth, inside an abandoned laboratory, a synthetic life form approaches the final stage of its creation. Pain gives way to a new state of awareness. Everything around it is classified as either a tool or a threat. Even in its unstable state, latent psychic power manifests as destructive force, tearing through metal and machinery with ease. Subtle ripples announce the arrival of something massive moving through the cave system. Agron, a territorial native species, emerges from the shadows, its steel armor scarred from years of dominance. The encounter marks a clash between two forms of power, overwhelming mass and concentrated psychic density. Agron's enormous momentum is halted instantly, sending a shockwave through its skeletal and metallic structures. Denied physical contact, Agron resorts to ranged defense, generating a concentrated blast of metallic energy. In a high PSI environment, such energy becomes unstable, warped, compressed, and neutralized by Mewtwo's will alone. Agron's greatest evolutionary advantage, its colossal mass, becomes a liability when suspended effortlessly in psychic force. Thrown across the cavern, Agron becomes living proof of the vast gulf between engineered power and natural evolution. Mewtwo ends the conflict without seeking a kill. It does not feed, nor does it hunt. It merely redefines the hierarchy. Brief flashes of Mew, the genetic source of its existence, appear as ancestral memory rather than personal recollection. Mewtwo makes its first contact with the weaker creatures of the ecosystem. Its response is not to attack, but to observe, a strategy of sensing its environment, assessing life forms as non-threatening. At the base of the waterfall, Mewtwo entered a meditative state, a necessary self-regulation after long exposure to the open environment.
At the highest levels of the atmosphere, nature's forces are silently accumulating immense energy. Three legendary entities representing ice, lightning, and fire begin their journey to maintain the planet's balance. As air currents conflict, the world below must prepare for the presence of gods. Articuno, the incarnation of eternal winter, controls atmospheric humidity through crystal-like feathers. At the Seafoam Islands, the harshness of frost can be an enemy, but it can also be salvation. As it flaps to lower the ambient temperature, it creates a protective structure from the very harshness of winter. Mission complete, the Guardian of Frost vanishes once more into the mountain mist. Meanwhile, within human ruins, another source of energy seeks release. Zapdos acts as a living lightning rod, absorbing ionized particles to recharge its body. Each feather is a biological capacitor capable of storing millions of volts in a single flash. It moves like an electric pulse through the atmosphere, dominating the night sky with brutal, flickering light. In lands where the cold reigns too long, If begins within the molten heat of the Earth's core. Moltres, the fire deity. The heat from its body can be felt from miles away, the embodiment of thermal conversion, carrying the warmth necessary for germination. Its appearance signals the end of winter. It is the biological catalyst for rebirth. Moltres of fire is not just to burn, but to light the path for rebirth. At the intersection of three worlds, an absolute balance is about to be restored. When the three deities converge, all climatic conflicts are neutralized by energy resonance. This is the dance of the elements, keeping this planet from falling into ruin due to extreme weather. A new cycle begins in peace, witnessing the power of the Sky Guardians. The last remaining marks, reminding the world that balance is always protected from above. All is part of the grand cycle of life.
In this ecology, the ancient tree is the biological anchor, where grass-type Pokémon have thrived for centuries. This is Treecko. It possesses a rare stoicism, an absolute self-control in every situation. An incursion is underway. Salazzle, the poison-fire reptile, leaves a trail of fire and toxic gas. Treecko exhibits defiance. Bravery is not absence of fear, but this may be a biological miscalculation. Treecko's adhesion capability defies gravity. Its tail registers the extreme desiccation and stress vibrations. The intruder carries potent toxins. Treecko must rely on agility and ambush tactics. Pheromonal exposure makes the environment physiologically toxic. A diversionary attack provides a window for repositioning. Exhaustion is setting in. Every breath is a struggle against hypoxia and extreme thermal pressure. The living pillar is collapsing. Centuries of history are about to end in a single moment. Territorial instinct shifts into biological desperation. This physical exertion has broken the limit. The life cycle nears its end without immediate adaptation. Survival requires an extreme physiological response. The pressure of death activates forced metamorphosis. Biology is desperately attempting to self-regulate. This is Grovyle, a jungle warrior, defined by speed and destructive precision. The ending of the heritage created a new guardian. Speed is the new biological weapon. Grovyle uses its power to neutralize. Self-control remains, but power is magnified. The threat is eliminated. The intruder realizes this new opponent exceeds its capacity. The mission is accomplished. Despite the loss, life always finds a path to renewal. This is the shift from territory guardian to the seed carrier, assuming biological responsibility. The path to Sceptile is a long journey of rebirth and protection. This individual proves that coolness is the mask for a warrior's heart.
Deep within Mount Silver, a growth cycle begins in darkness and absolute silence. Larvitar is born with a single goal: to consume enough geological matter to prepare for a massive transformation. Maternal protection is a fleeting luxury. To trigger its metamorphic clock, it must venture into the abrasive world alone. Its digestive system is a biological blast furnace capable of breaking down dense silicates into pure elemental energy. At this fragile stage, its primary defense is a dermal layer reinforced by the very soil it consumes. The journey to Asado is a trial by heat, forcing the Larvitar to compress its internal energy to prevent dehydration. It must consume a mountain's worth of matter, a massive intake required for the impending cellular restructuring. Survival here is not just about strength, but the endurance of one's biological armor against apex predators. Utilizing its low center of gravity, the Larvitar converts tectonic pressure into a devastating physical counterforce. The predator relents. The Larvitar's internal furnace is now nearing critical mass, signaling the end of its mobile phase. The Larvitar seals itself within a chrysalis of solidified tectonic energy. The transformation into Pupitar begins. For months, it will remain a stationary fortress, its consciousness drifting between a dream of power and the reality of vulnerability. The scent of concentrated energy attracts scavengers eager to crack the shell before the Titan awakens. Inside, the Pupitar generates immense internal pressure, tempering its new body through every external blow. Atmospheric chaos mirrors the biological turbulence within. The pupal stage has reached its zenith. The shell shatters. From the debris of the old self, a mountain-shaping force is unleashed. Tyranitar, the apex of the rock skin lineage, a living monument to evolutionary persistence. Its presence alters the very landscape. A single stride can trigger localized tectonic shifts. No longer a victim of the environment, it has become its master, capable of re-sculpting the earth. To become a mountain, one must first endure its crushing weight. The cycle of the Titan remains unbroken.
In the oldest forests, time does not move in a straight line. It is guarded by a single spirit, Celebi, the time-traveling creature, a being from the future, wandering through eras to protect the peace. With a single touch, growth is accelerated to an extraordinary degree. Its presence is a promise of fertility. Where Celebi appears, nature reaches its most perfect state. Its healing ability is actually reversing the cellular physical state to a time before the injury. The biological aura attracts the most loyal denizens of the ancient forest. But even the most sacred forests cannot escape the fury of nature. Savage flames devour green memories in a single moment of fury. To save the present, the Guardian must call upon the power of the time stream. Weak creatures have no escape from the fury of the heavens. It is time to release ultimate energy to reverse destiny itself. Stardust Rain carries the code of divine rebirth down to the barren earth. Fire is frozen and neutralized by the reverse flow of temporal particles. Life rises powerfully from the ruins, erasing the traces of death. Time is being accelerated. Decades of growth are compressed into mere moments. Rebirth begins right from what was completely incinerated. The trunk regenerates its bark, reaching out to shelter the Green Kingdom. Every living thing in the forest receives the blessing of divine restorative energy. Order has been restored. The forest now carries the life of the future within it. Balance is restored, inviting the wings back to their safe haven. As long as Celebi appears, a bright future awaits this planet. Energy spent, it is time for the traveler to return. A legacy is left behind to maintain protection across the ages. Tomorrow's hope is kept within the ancient stone heart of the shrine. The spirit has returned to the torrent of time, fulfilling its silent mission as guardian. The god's final traces dissolve into the deep blue sky. Time may destroy, but life will always find a way to prevail. Ilex Forest stands as a testament to the miracle of time. Everything returns to its inherent natural order under the hand of fate.
In warm geothermal caves, a high-energy creature begins its clumsy life with a very bold spirit. Djibel, the land shark, possesses a naturally aggressive nature but remains incredibly playful and very curious. Its massive mouth can gobble up anything that moves within its immediate and very sharp field of vision. Djibel lives by the privilege of being protected by one of the forest's most powerful apex tyrants. Overconfident in that protection, Gibble decides to leave the cave to explore the vast outside world. It does not know that beyond its mother's boundaries, the laws of survival become much more brutal. Djibel encounters a peer rival, Jang Moo, a dragon warrior training its very hard and metallic scales. The clumsy bite hits scales as hard as steel, forcing Djibel to pay with its own teeth. Djibel's teeth will grow back quickly, but this deep humiliation is a wound much harder to heal. Hakamoo, the protective older brother, appears to retaliate against the stranger's very unreasonable and bold aggression. Pushed into a corner, fear begins to trigger a powerful energy hidden deep within its primal soul. In a crisis, the pseudo-legendary gene reacts strongly, driving a forced and very intense evolutionary process. Gabite emerges with sharp arms, ready to fight back to defend its own dignity and pride. However, the vast gap in combat experience remains a very significant hurdle for the newly evolved creature. Amidst the life and death moment, Mother Garchomp appears like a ghost of destruction from high above the cliffs. There is no pampered protection. The mother only leaves behind a very stern lesson about self-reliance. Today's failure becomes the foundation for the Predator's burning ambition to reach the absolute summit of power. It begins days of arduous training, learning to master the powers of Earth and the dragon's blood. Learning from the master, it understands that patience is the key to every successful and efficient hunt. Rough skin ability gradually forms, turning its body into a very dangerous and effective counter-attacking weapon. After years of intense training, the time for the final and most grand transformation has finally approached. It no longer needs protection. It is now the formidable guardian of its own vast and rocky territory. Garchomp is born, a war god of sky and earth, with speed that surpasses the very sound barrier. Dragon power explodes, asserting the absolute status of one who rose from a very bitter past failure. At the highest levels of the atmosphere, nature's forces are silently accumulating immense energy. 3 legendary entities, representing ice, lightning, and fire, begin their journey to maintain the planet's balance. As air currents conflict, the world below must prepare for the presence of gods. Articuno, the incarnation of eternal winter, controls atmospheric humidity through crystal-like feathers. At the Seafoam Islands, the harshness of frost can be an enemy, but it can also be salvation. As it flaps to lower the ambient temperature, it creates a protective structure from the very harshness of winter. Mission complete. The Guardian of Frost vanishes once more into the mountain mist. Meanwhile, within human ruins, another source of energy seeks release. Zapdos acts as a living lightning rod, absorbing ionized particles to recharge its body. Each feather is a biological capacitor capable of storing millions of volts in a single flash. It moves like an electric pulse through the atmosphere, dominating the night sky with brutal, flickering light. In lands where the cold reigns too long, If begins within the molten heat of the Earth's core. Moltres, the fire deity. The heat from its body can be felt from miles away, the embodiment of thermal conversion, carrying the warmth necessary for germination. Its appearance signals the end of winter. It is the biological catalyst for rebirth. Moltres of fire is not just to burn, but to light the path for rebirth. At the intersection of three worlds, an absolute balance is about to be restored. When the three deities converge, all climatic conflicts are neutralized by energy resonance. This is the dance of the elements, keeping this planet from falling into ruin due to extreme weather. A new cycle begins in peace, witnessing the power of the Sky Guardians. The last remaining marks, reminding the world that balance is always protected from above. All is part of the grand cycle of life. In this savannah, an ancestral feud is about to ignite between two eternal rivals. Zangoose, a creature carrying combat memories etched into its very biological cells. Acute olfactory systems immediately identify the enemy's venom. Seviper, a venomous assassin with a sleek black body and a razor-sharp blade tail. Incredible reflex speed allows the mongoose species to overpower a surprise ambush. The purple scars on Seviper's body testify to millennia of confrontation. Seviper's wrapping technique neutralizes the opponent's superior mobility. Seviper's blade tail is sharpened on hard rocks to achieve optimal cutting precision. A massive amount of organic toxic compounds is released to finish the target. Neurotoxins begin to invade, challenging Zangoos's resilient immune system. Instead of falling, the venom triggers a unique chemical reaction. Attack speed skyrockets as adrenaline and toxin levels reach their peak. Toxic Boost activates, transforming venom into a catalyst for muscular power. The finishing move concentrates all biological pressure into a single cut. Combat instincts recede, making way for the silence of the victor. In ancient Kalos forests, life belongs only to the strongest and bravest creatures. A young Pancham tries to maintain its instinct with a very arrogant posture. These initial strikes are not yet strong enough to break nature's protective shells. It learns to coordinate energy by meticulously observing every movement of the master. Muscular strength is forged through decades of facing the harshest and toughest challenges. Behavioral mimicry is a crucial stepping stone for a true warrior to start its long formation. Within this ecosystem, small and weak creatures are always the primary targets for the lethal predators. A fierce Drapion is preparing to finish its prey with very lethal venom. Instinctive fear is overwhelmed by a protective will that is rising very strongly within its heart. The powerful impact makes all protective efforts seem to collapse before the very harsh and cruel reality. Physical limits are broken, giving way to a dark power that is exploding. The collapse of honor triggers an evolutionary mechanism based on very intense hatred. Nature reacts to the rise of a new energy source that is mysterious and extremely powerful. Biological structures change, turning a small child into a very formidable true warrior. Massive psychic energy is reshaping the entire skeletal framework of the creature during this critical moment. A new icon of the forest appears, carrying the duty of protecting species. This roar signals a change in the hierarchy of power within this very complex natural ecosystem. All tricks and venoms are now useless against an iron will that cannot be easily broken. The invader is forced to retreat before a power far beyond its very limited and simple calculations. True strength is not for bullying, but for protecting those small fragile lives. This leaf is no longer a decoration. It is the symbol of a very eternal oath. The predecessor's recognition is the most precious reward for a young and courageous fighting warrior. Future generations will look at this example to find their own forest path. Silence in the soul is the strongest weapon of a warrior who has been well trained. After the survival battles, nature's balance is established again in a very warm and gentle way. It becomes the eternal guardian for the peace of the entire deep and green forest area. Its breath merges with Mother Earth's heartbeat, creating a very sacred and unbreakable spiritual connection. The legend of the Leaf of Honor will be passed on in leaves. The story ends, but the Guardian's protective mission will continue forever in the very long future. Deep within the 1,000-year-old primordial forests, there exist creatures carrying the purest energy of happiness and compassion. Togepi is born with a translucent soul, completely foreign to the harsh laws of survival that dominate this danger-filled natural world. But the forest's silence is soon shattered as apex predators begin a brutal war to assert their absolute territorial dominance. Cypher and Pinsir, two gladiators forged from killer instinct and muscular power. Accepting no compromise in this confrontation, each of their collisions carries destructive force, jarring from the parched earth up to the highest canopies of the ancient woods. Standing before senseless destruction, this tiny creature feels the pain of the ecosystem being torn apart by endless fits of rage. Sharp air currents slice through space, threatening to take the fragile life that harbors no combat instinct or hatred within. By transforming fear into compassion, Togepi activates a protective barrier woven from the purest vibrations of happiness. Non-violent resistance through kindness causes even the most violent and bloodthirsty to pause in utter astonishment. Each crack on the fragile shell is a testament to the effort to mend a broken world, traded at the cost of its own safety. When sacrifice reaches its ultimate limit, a biological miracle begins to explode, transforming pain into a light of salvation. Togetic rises from the brilliant light, shedding its primitive defensive shell to embrace the mission of an angel, a true messenger of peace. It carries the seeds of reconciliation, soothing souls being consumed by the flames of anger and predatory instincts. Under the mist of life, all ancestral hatred vanishes like early morning fog, meeting the brilliant sunshine. Former mortal enemies now stand silent under a healed canopy where violence is no longer the only language for survival. A silent respect is established between different species, witnessing the world-reshaping power of kindness and altruism. Its smile is the final affirmation that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of kindness. The forest has regained its primal pulse, a clean space full of vitality, where all life is respected. Each speck of light falling to Earth is a promise of the eternal rebirth of beauty and harmony among all species. The mission of the Messenger of Peace will continue, silent and persistent, sowing seeds of happiness through the infinite timeline of this planet. In the brackish waters of the mangrove, an ecosystem teeming with hidden predators begins to awaken. Froakie spends much of its early life in hiding, honing its first survival reflexes. The foam around its neck is more than decoration. It is a vital moisture-retaining mechanism for an amphibian. Upon evolving into Frogadier, its leg muscles advance greatly, allowing it to conquer higher levels. Agility turns it into a confident, low-tier hunter, though sometimes lacking the necessary vigilance. But at the highest level, a true tyrant of the ancient forest silently watches the unauthorized intruder. Sceptile strikes with leaf blades as sharp as industrial steel. At the edge of extinction, a primal survival mechanism triggers a violent cellular metamorphosis. It is submerged under the torrent, where pressure and rocks stand ready to crush all hope of survival. In the moment of deepest despair, ultimate evolution transforms it into a perfect biological weapon. The long tongue now functions as a sensory organ and a thermal regulator for its sensitive body. The mucus epidermis neutralizes light reflection, making it a ghost in broad daylight. By manipulating water molecules at high pressure, it creates a compressed mass of immense density. The water star rotates at supersonic speed, carrying enough kinetic energy to pierce the toughest plant structures. To face a ninja is to face the subtle illusions and deceptions of the dark. A direct water pressure kick ends the battle for the ultimate throne of the mangrove. The victor needs no boast. Its silence is the most powerful message for the entire forest. It vanishes into its own mist, hiding its form beneath a mysterious veil of vapor and shadows. Every movement now carries the breath of discipline and absolute biological focus. The next generation swims under the silent protection of a legend just written in the night. As rain falls, Greninja becomes one with the water element, completely impossible to be detected. A solitary silhouette guarding the sleep of all creatures, the soul of the mangrove at midnight. The Guardian's gaze flickers out, leaving the ancient woods in the peace of the deep darkness.
This is the Asado Desert, a harsh biome where lost state is the primary evolutionary driver. Mother Marowak provides biological shielding in a hostile environment. Crocodile represents the unavoidable survival pressure of the Asado biome. Mother Marowak has reached the physical threshold of territorial defense. This mortality event is Cubone's first evolutionary trauma, activating its neurolacrimal gland. The skull absorbs the chemical signature of grief. Burrowing behavior is a neural response to social isolation. The contrast between maternal bonding and loss creates psychological conflict. Isolation is a defense strategy, but also an evolutionary barrier. Crocodile returns. Cobon witnesses a recurring traumatic sequence. Helplessness creates a secondary emotional shock, fracturing the neural barrier. Cubone chooses social interaction over isolation. The impact fractures the final psychological casing. Maternal spirit triggers forced evolution via heritage energy. The skull assimilates into Cubone's skeletal system. Physical transmutation is complete. Marowak emerges. Robust genetic coding is re-established. It deploys bone-rang tactics with superior kinetic force. First, social interaction. Recognition of territorial defense capacity. Marowak establishes an extra-clan survival alliance. It returns to the trauma epicenter for the release ritual. Marowak is now the sole heir of the Asado Desert.
Before the universe existed, there was only void and eternal chaos. From the void's heart, the original one walks upon the first ripples. Dialga emerges, weaving the flow of time into the fabric of existence. Palkia rises, defining the dimensions and stability of the primal universe. Giratina is born from antimatter, an opposing entity to maintain universal balance. Destructiveness forces the creator to execute the ultimate power of divine judgment. Knowledge, emotion, and will are bestowed to ignite the spark of souls. He dwells upon the peak, watching the world through divine vision. A disaster from the void threatens to erase newly formed life sparks. Multi-type turns him into an invincible fortress against any physical impact. Judgment, the supreme strike converging the essence of 18 elemental energies. Order is restored as divine will crushes the remnants of chaos. His compassion is reserved only for souls that cherish the path of peace. Hall of Origin, where time stands still and all laws fade away. A single gaze encompasses the entire clockwork mechanism of the universe. He tunes the elements like a conductor guiding a cosmic symphony. Silent protection keeps the planet's heart beating in a peaceful rhythm. Every step of the Creator redefines the very essence of existing reality. Divine power can revive all things from the ruins of fallen ashes. He remains watching, waiting for the convergence of humans and Pokémon. Genesis power trembles every boundary between the real and the virtual. An eternal cycle of rebirth originates from the supreme divine will. The final judgment always lies within the gaze of the original one. The origin and the end all return to the sacred void.
This is Gatejaw Bog, a wetland defined by extreme atmospheric flux. Within this root cavity, a Psyduck is born. Upon emergence, it instantly enters a state of unceasing neural tension. This is an endemic biosyndrome. Its psycho-organ perpetually generates surplus energy, resulting in a critical cranial pressure load. This awkward confusion is the somatic expression of chronic suffering. It floats aimlessly, the body attempting to re-establish chemical equilibrium by isolating sensory input from its environment. Even in its fragility, these headaches are the signature of a potent internal energy field. Unconscious psychic force manifests, causing subtle physical distortion. The brain's attempt to force a reset of its inner equilibrium. But this environment is hostile. Psyduck engages an emergency response known as Cloud 9, a psycho-defense mechanism to neutralize meteorological impacts. The abrupt shift in atmospheric pressure is the most catastrophic trigger. Pressure spikes the cranium, dramatically increasing the density of internal psycho-energy. Surplus energy begins to leak, warping the physical environment, bending the reed. The pain transcends discomfort. It becomes a direct threat to survival. Other Pokémon recognize the imminent danger. Uncontrolled psychic energy poses a lethal risk to the ecosystem. The agony reaches maximum threshold. This is no longer suffering, it is transmutation, a forced evolutionary contingency. Yet, in this vital moment, the neural signal shifts. It finds the quiet center within its own storm. Action occurs from suppressed potential to a state of controlled life force, and a Golduck emerges. Its physique is robust, and the control gem on its forehead is activated, a vital bioenergy stabilizer. It no longer retreats, it directly confronts the atmospheric pressure flux. It commands the energy, deploying a psychic field, stabilized by the gem, to form an anti-storm shield. The vortex is successfully contained. Golduck achieves internal equilibrium against external forces, proving the dominance of will over biological conflict. The physical threat is neutralized. Exhaustion is evident from the high-intensity energy deployment, but the confusion is fully dissipated. Awe and acceptance from the swamp inhabitants. Golduck has secured the entire territory. Superior aquatic agility is engaged. Golduck now assumes the role of the guardian of Gatejaw Bog. From chronic suffering to ultimate control, Golduck is evidence that evolution can be an emergency contingency against survival pressure. Golduck has become a true guardian. Gatejaw Bog has returned to atmospheric stability.
Amidst the horrific firestorm, Brass Tower collapsed in the despair of both humans and all living creatures. a radiant god appeared, granting reviving light to rewrite the destiny for all of them today. Lightning energy began flowing into the veins, awakening the instincts of a true king of the skies. Raikou rose from the lightning, carrying the power of terrible and very powerful thunderstorms within body. Entei manifested from eternal flames, carrying the hot blood of the very high and active volcanoes. Suicune stepped out from the mist, the embodiment of calmness and the ability to purify all waters. Raikou moves like a lightning bolt, its sound echoing like thunder striking across the wide, dark sky. It controls the thunderclouds, ready to release its fury upon those who destroy the ancient green forest. The Fire King's roar causes distant mountains to wake up and begin erupting hot and dangerous magma. Wherever Suicune touches, all pollution and toxins disappear in a very miraculous way. The cold north wind blows harder, marking the presence of the guardian river god. The forest holds its breath before the overwhelming power of newly reborn gods. Entei controls flames, absorbing heat to protect small creatures trapped inside the fire. Lightning is used as a tool to isolate danger, re-establishing the natural order. Sudden rain from Suicune ends disaster, reviving the green color for the land. They never stay in one place, always wandering to find balance for the vast land of Johto. Small electric creatures always feel protected under the vast shelter of Great Raikou. Even while resting, the magma energy inside Entei is always boiling and never ever goes out completely. Magma energy inside Entei is always boiling and never ever goes out completely. Raikou soars through the night, guarding electromagnetic currents that affect all life on Earth. To release heat pressure, Entei is forced to move through the virgin lands. Suicune's purification mission is eternal, cleaning every stain caused by the terrible disaster. The rare reunion of the trio signals a major and very significant event. Raikou remembers origins, where pain turned into the divine power of the present. The old fire still burns smolderingly in the soul of the great emperor Entei. Purity returns to the starting point, healing the deep wounds of noble Suicune. An invisible spiritual bond always exists between these three beings reborn together now. The Creator watches, ensuring the Guardians fulfill their sacred and important divine mission. Their unity is the strongest protective power for the entire vast and beautiful land of Johto. Their unity is the strongest protective power for the entire vast land of Johto. The north wind from Suicune will purify souls, bringing peace back to the currently polluted water. Natural order has been restored. Life begins to sprout from the grey ashes. Life always finds its way, even in the most heavily devastated places on Earth. The legend of legendary beasts will be retold forever to all future generations.
This is the ancient river gorge, where the Big Jaw Pokémon is born, attuned to intense hydrodynamic flux. Totodile carries innate crushing force, dangerous due to its lack of strength perception. The jaw muscles are structured like a miniature hydraulic crusher, governed by the primitive cortex. As the jaw muscles developed, the Totodile evolved to Croconaw. The adolescent stage brings greater brute force. Environmental events can lead to devastating disasters. Fallen trees and debris pose a biological threat. Guardian instinct supersedes playful reflex. The test of this Pokémon's willpower is that its biting force is hampered by its rescue instincts. Croconaw is stuck. Sheer force is withheld. Croconaw witnesses crushing fate. Absolute focus emerges. Controlling will forces it to consciously deploy sheer force. A crushing bite succeeds. The log disintegrates beneath the pulverizing jaws. Physical load peaks. Muscular biology is forced into restructuring. Feraligatr uses its big jaw as a tool for environmental control. Transmutation complete, from unconscious threat to conscious guardian. Destructive power is the symbol of authority and maturity. Feraligatr retreats to deep water, ready to control the next Hydra flux. The Guardian has claimed biological control over the territory.